Hello, 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 and welcome to Updog Sports Talk. My name is Matt Miller. Joining me again today is Justin McGovern. Justin, what's going on, dude?
I'm ready to talk some NFL. Yeah, it's been an exciting season so far, and just kind of excited to look and see who's looking good and who might fall off a little bit, and who is struggling a little bit here.
Yeah, there's been
So
some big surprises this season, so definitely some shakeups. Let's take a look.
yeah, let's go ahead here and look at the standings real quick. And yeah, obviously we can start off here with the AFC East. The Bills obviously were hyped up as Super Bowl favorites, and so far, outside of one bad week, they have mostly lived up to it so far. Obviously, a long season to go, but yeah, they won a big one over the Chiefs this weekend. Kind
Yeah,
of,
they're the team to
yeah.
beat in the AFC. The Chiefs are playing a lot better. We'll get to them in a minute, but Bills just playing out of their minds right now. Off to a great start. Even if they don't do great the rest of the season, they're not gonna lose out. We know that already. Um, but
I
even
really
if
hope
they
not.
like falter a little bit, they're still the team to beat. But Jets are right on their heels.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a surprising start for the Jets so far, and really, it's happened here the past few weeks. Because originally at the beginning of the year, outside of like a comeback win against the Browns, where really honestly the Browns kind of blew that more than the Jets wanted. Um, it didn't really feel like they were any different. And then yeah, last couple weeks here they've been pretty tough. I do think they're probably gonna falter a little bit. I'm not sure if they're gonna be ready to contend for the playoffs this year, but the main thing is they aren't a team that you can just kind of roll in, sleepwalk, and still win by 20. Like you have to show up and play a good game to beat these guys.
Well, if the season ended right now, they'd be in the playoffs. So, um, yeah, I think they just lack the experience. That's going to be the big thing and the deciding factor down the stretch. I mean, we're
Yeah.
1/3 of the way through the season, and they're looking pretty good. I mean, DJ Reed is one of the best corners right now in the NFL, and Sauce Gardner is playing lights out football. Um, Quentin Williams is no longer just a stud; he's a star. He's
Yeah.
he's playing fantastic offensively. Brees Hall seems to be one of their better draft picks, but
He
those
has
receivers got to get going.
Yeah, he has transformed the offense quite a bit. They definitely have moved to a run first offense here the last several weeks, and that has helped them immensely, really.
Yeah,
It seems to make life easier on the offensive line. It helps that Salah, he came from the 49ers system. They have some good run blocking schemes. So having a back there to help with that really helps. Zach
yeah.
Wilson definitely he actually has not looked great so far. Like you said, can't get the receivers going at the moment. Yeah, if they want to stay up here, it's going to be up to him to step up, and so far he
Actually,
hasn't looked
I
ready to
think
do
it's
that.
up to the team behind him, the Dolphins. Tua is going to be playing this week. If he comes back and he's ready to go, the Dolphins' offense looks unstoppable when everyone's healthy. So
Yeah,
if Tua is in fact 100% healthy and he no longer has a concussion, they are the team, the second team in that division.
yeah. This is the ebbs and flows of the NFL season. Sometimes, like a few weeks ago, we talked about them. We were talking about how amazing they looked at the beginning of the year, and then all of a sudden, just like a rash of quarterback injuries hit them, and now they're 3-3. This team obviously looked great with Tua. Then he gets a concussion. Teddy Bridgewater comes in, he gets a concussion the next week. Skylar Thompson is all of a sudden who they're left relying on here.
And then
They have
Teddy Bridgewater wasn't cleared soon enough to start last week, so he had to start the game on the bench. And
yeah,
then Thompson ended up
then
getting hurt, so then he had to get come back in.
yeah, because
So
like he didn't practice all week, so like he wasn't really involved in that. So then he kind of just had to go out there cold, and I mean helped him at least be competitive. But I think this week will be the beginning of when we get to see more of what this team looks like again. Because yeah, the last few weeks has just been kind of crazy for them. And
And
then
then the
the
Patriots,
Patriots.
they copied and pasted Mac Jones and changed his name. That's all they
dude,
did.
dude, this Bailey Zappi kid can freaking sling it.
Yeah, wasn't he at Western Kentucky slinging it too?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, the Patriots are just odd because we're used to them being great, and then they've been hit or miss, and they've relied on their defense a lot, and they've relied on quarterback play, and uh, they've gotten it done in 3 games, but this isn't the same Patriots team as 2018 or anything like that. Like, this is a whole new world for Bill Belichick, and honestly, I don't think he's going to be around too much longer. But for this season, Patriots got an uphill battle,
I
facing
mean,
three seemingly strong teams 1/3 of the way through the season.
he was dedicated enough to skip his owner's wedding this Saturday. He was like,
Yeah.
"No, I'm not going. Your wedding present's going to be I'm going to get you a win on Sunday."
Moving to the AFC North, um, a little bit worse than we thought it
A
was going to be.
dramatically different division here, where the leading teams had the same record as the worst teams in the previous division.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's so it's gonna be mostly negative when we talk about these teams, but starting with the Ravens, why are they 3-3? It's because they can't hold on to leads.
And I
And I
think a
really,
lot of that has come down to injuries, and inconsistent defensive back play. But past couple of weeks, defensive backs have played pretty well.
yeah,
Um, and then Lamar Jackson has kept him in games, but last week he fumbled. Um, it's just it's just the way it goes sometimes. You're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some in the NFL, and they're a solid team, but they're not the Bills this year. So, but the Bengals though, um, lost all 3 games by a field goal or less. I don't
on the
remember. I
last
think it
minute
was
field
like
goal.
I think yeah, last moment field goals, and the total that they lost by in all 3 games combined is like what, 12 points? I texted you that the other day,
Yeah,
or like
yeah, something like that.
something like that. Yeah. But it's they got to get going. They're dealing with DJ Reader's injury. Luke Wilson's out 2 to 5 weeks. Or not Luke Wilson, Logan Wilson. Um, and then Dax Hill hasn't really been playing.
Yeah,
Um, so it's like, why not get him involved a little bit more, especially with Eli Apple struggling. But the big question mark is, what can this offense do? Um, but we've
yeah.
we talked about them multiple times.
Did the play they're laying the game kind of like how they played in the fourth quarter last week kind of jumpstart the offense more to what they want to be? We'll have to find out.
Yeah, and
And
then the
I mean, we
Browns,
have
I don't think we're gonna see Deshaun Watson this season, but I'm gonna avoid that conversation and just focus on what they have right now. Um Brissett's not playing terrible, but he
a
doesn't
lot of
have much
mistakes.
around him. Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
but
he's
he
making a
only
lot of
has
mistakes. He
Chubb and
keeps throwing
Hunt.
picks.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
he
and
but
Cooper.
they've been forced to pass. The defense, their secondary, seemingly the deepest in the NFL, hasn't been playing well at all. And then Garrett has been in and out. Clowney's been in and out. Um, they're dealing with some injuries, and then
Yeah.
it just they have a solid team. It's
Honestly,
just it's not working right
honestly,
now.
I know we talked about the offense first. This kind of we kind of bashed on the offense, but really it is the defense that's been the major disappointment. I mean, all that talent in the secondary, and they can't stop anything.
Yeah,
Um,
you can't stop a
obviously,
nosebleed.
yeah, they are going to be probably looking at the defensive coordinator change soon because yeah, things are not looking good in that defense, and they should be playing better than they are right now. The Steelers, I mean, we can touch on them real quick. Probably not really a contender for the division. They're kind of just figuring things out here. Kenny Pickett obviously is the guy of the future, but yeah, they're just kind of in transition. But the main thing is their offense is still struggling right now. They can't run the ball. They want to run the ball. They can't do it. Um, and
Well, they
that's
don't want
really
to put too much pressure on the quarterbacks. Whoever is playing, they don't want to put too much pressure on them, so they try to run the ball. But the offensive line isn't good enough to run the ball. And
yeah.
then defensively, with TJ Watt out, they're relying on Minka Fitzpatrick to be their sole defense.
Yeah, and then he's gotten hurt lately too. So,
Yeah, so not looking
um,
good for the Steelers, but they are only one game behind in the division. So
yeah. So I mean, you do have to consider them every time you're seeing them lurking there, you know.
yeah,
But yeah, they got a long road to climb. The
AFC
AFC
South has
South,
been a bit of a bust.
but
Titans,
I mean, look at the Titans though. Like after a kind of
yeah,
rough
they've
start,
been
they're
doing
sitting
better than
there
I
at three
thought.
and two, looking actually pretty decent.
Yeah, and the Colts turned it around a little bit. They
I know.
stayed in
How
the
about the
division.
Colts being like up here, like above 500? Like I feel like just even a couple weeks ago we were talking about what a mess this team was, and
Yeah,
they didn't
they're
look
still a
impressive
mess.
at all. But here they are, like just out of the lead division. And then after this week, when they play at the Titans, after that they don't play another division opponent until the end of the year. They already cleared most of their division games out, which is kind of crazy.
And then moving on to the Jaguars. Well, the back to the Colts for a second. Their half their defense has been hurt. So
Yeah,
once they get their defense back, that's going to be a big boost to their team. So if they can get Leonard back, and then one of their corners was hurt. If they can get everyone healthy on defense, I feel like that it'll be an easier route for them. But
yeah, and
moving
then
on to the Jaguars,
surprisingly, how about the fact that they're now actually having success passing the ball?
well, they have to. They were down to Philip Lindsay and Deion
Deion
Jackson.
Jackson, yeah.
But the
Um,
Jaguars, they look good for those two wins, but and they didn't look too bad in some of their losses, but some of the other losses they look terrible.
I mean, they lost to the
They're just
Texans, so that's pretty bad.
yeah, and
It's a year of growth for them. They're getting there a little bit, kind of step by step. They're obviously a team that you have, you can't just like sleepwalk and beat them. You definitely have to play a full game to beat them. They're going to be tougher than they were last year, but even then, they're
they still got a lot of
still
holes.
still work in progress.
And then
Um,
the Texans,
they stink.
uh, Stingley's playing well. I guess that's a plus. And
Yeah,
then Damian Pierce, they're talking about trying to get him 20 carries a game. So a couple
and
bright spots for them.
he's done well when given the ball. I mean,
And they're still
um,
in contention for a top pick. So like they got some pieces going. uh moving on over to the AFC West. A little
first
different than
thing,
we thought at the beginning of
well,
the
first
season.
thing, the Chiefs are still the Chiefs. I would say even though the Chargers are sitting there tied with them right now, I think the Chiefs right now are the overwhelming favorite to win this division. They
Yeah,
should win it pretty easily.
the fact that the Chargers, with the way they've played this season, are 4-2 is actually kind of surprising. Their record isn't surprising, just the way they've been doing it is surprising. Because like they had all this potential going into the season that they could just put up all these points that Patrick Mahomes was putting up with the Chiefs, and then all of a sudden, J.C. Jackson is an $82 million bench warmer. Um, and then defensively, they've been kind of wishy washy, and then offensively, they couldn't run the ball early, and now they're starting to run the ball, and now they're winning. So maybe they're a run first team. Don't know, but
Well, like even then, like I'm honestly, I don't think the play calling is that great for their offense. Like they just randomly stop running the ball, even though they should keep running it. It almost feels like they don't run it enough. And then like they're taking like no deep shots of Herbert. Even like the plays they call just aren't great. Like, usually you want to try to involve your better receivers. Instead, they're usually on fourth down plays, throwing it to practice squad players and not completing it. um, they're kind of wonky offensively. It's just
yeah.
I feel like they're doing Herbert injustice almost to how bad they've been calling plays, but yeah, so that's
Well,
why
just so we're not
divisional
short on
rounds.
time on the NFC, let's move on to the Russell Wilsons. Um, I was looking forward to this one because Russell Wilson has been absolutely terrible. A lot of people thought that he was going to be the MVP, and a lot of people have come out in the past couple of weeks saying, never mind. Um, he has been the reason why they're losing some of these games. He has wide open receivers in the end zone, very clearly right in front of him, and he's not throwing it to him. So Russ isn't cooking. He's not even making appetizers. He's not even food prepping. He's kind of just sitting there. And then the
Yeah.
Raiders.
I mean, like pretty, like like when the last 2 years, teams who signed a major quarterback have won the Super Bowl. But you got to look at why they did that. These quarterbacks entering the offseason, they made an effort to learn their new teammates and really get things going, like
He bought a new car, and
Tom Brady was getting kicked out of parks and stuff, trying to work with his new guys. Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp were having their 5 hour
not even
breakfast.
kicked out of parks. He's breaking into his offense coordinator's home illegally.
Yeah. All that stuff. Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp, the 5 hour breakfast. You heard none of that with Russell Wilson and his new guys this offseason. It's showing right now on the field.
Yeah, and Melvin Gordon still named as the starter, so I guess he and Hackett had a good conversation. So still a starter going forward for now, but we'll see. And then the Raiders, we'll just touch on them quickly. Adams still playing this week, but could be out going forward with his now legal issues.
It's a money grab.
Yeah, it really is. But the entire team really hasn't been playing that well. So
Yeah.
maybe they're not as good as we thought they were. They aren't who we thought they were.
They're solid as a team. They just aren't good at winning games.
I
They
honestly
find
don't
ways to
think
lose
Josh
every week.
McDaniels is that good of a coach.
Yeah.
I think they're losing because of him.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, it shows when you're losing all these one score games. They
Yeah.
blew huge leads in multiple games.
And then moving on over to the NFC, which is a lot more entertaining right now. Let's take a look at the NFC East,
which looks better than usual.
Yeah. They usually beat up on each other. They're all mid-tier teams throughout the season, but this year, Eagles, best team in the NFL. Jalen Hurts. I mean, you and I predicted them to be very good, but I didn't think they were going to start off this well.
Yeah.
And then their defense
they have been
is just astounding. Like, they may be the most complete team in the NFL.
It's really difficult to find a weakness with this team,
Yeah.
I
Micah
keep
Parsons,
trying to think about what
Micah Parsons had 3 QB hurries, and all of them were when Lane Johnson was not on the field.
Yeah.
Lane Johnson shut down Micah Parsons. Nobody else has been able to do that this season.
Yeah. Although, I mean, part of it, I will credit the Eagles scheme also because they ran like a lot of option plays where they even blocked Parsons. They left him stuck in between and essentially took him out of the play. I mean, it was a great scheme that they were running. Really, I mean, it just doesn't feel like there was a weakness to this team. They may not be completely elite at some positions, but like there's just not a weakness. This team,
if the Eagles and the Bills play each other in the Super Bowl, there won't just be one city on fire. There will be 2 cities on fire, regardless of the outcome. Moving on, the G-Men have been absolutely impressive.
Yeah.
The difference here has been Saquon's health and Brian Dable. That's it.
Yeah, really. It's
like,
well, and
I don't even know what to say about him. Well, a lot of things actually, but I don't know what to say about him because it's like nobody saw this coming.
No,
This being the coach, we thought they'd improve, but 5-1, 1/3 of the way through the season, they're putting themselves in great position to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and look at their upcoming schedule too. It is not a tough schedule coming up. Like
all
this
4 of those teams in the NFC East had the weakest schedule in the NFL.
Yeah, and
so these numbers may be inflated, but sometimes that's how it works out.
Right.
Cowboys.
This team. But yeah, I mean, and despite the fact that Kenny Golladay is just stealing millions of dollars from them right now, The offensive line and Saquon are making the difference. They still have a great pass game, which may limit them in the playoffs, but the schedule seems to be setting up for them to possibly make it to the wild card.
And
But
Daniel
yeah, on
Jones
to
has
the
been playing
Cowboys.
more efficient football.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I actually
um,
did not see Dayball yell at him this week, so that was good.
yeah. Um, on to the Cowboys. Dak is back. And that was announced probably a couple hours ago.
Yeah.
And I honestly think they're not going to do well. I think adding like because you had the Cooper Rush energy in there. The scheme is going to be different with Dak at quarterback, and then you're going to go back. You're going to rely on CeeDee Lamb on a hot streak, and is Noah Brown even going to be involved going forward? Like he doesn't have that kind of chemistry with Noah Brown,
Yeah.
like Cooper Rush did. And then Zeke still does not impress me. Pollard seems to be getting more yards per carry, but they do have a great tandem in the two because they run differently.
Right.
So it's harder to take. Like if you're going for a tackle on Pollard, but then you see it Zeke, you're like, oh shoot, like I got to do this differently. But defensively, that's where they got to stay consistent if they want to continue to battle for a playoff spot. Because Michael Parsons has to get back to his Lawrence Taylor form, and then Diggs has to just keep picking balls off. But
Yeah.
they're still a solid football team. Everyone has been counting them out because of the two teams ahead of them in the division, but they're still a solid football team, and I do expect them to pass the Giants at some point this season. But
Yeah, I mean the defense is going to be really tough. That's their main thing, and really they found a good formula there with just kind of pounding the rock, passing out play action. We'll see if they stick with it. We'll get Dak coming back. That's the thing you allude to was they kind of almost want to pass more when he's there, but that might be not be their best formula. I mean, like even Dak's
yeah,
rookie year, he did really well when he was passing out play action. So we'll see if they go back to that. Commanders, we
and
don't have to
Jerry
talk much
Jones,
about.
hold on. Jerry Jones did talk to Robert Kraft and say told him to pretty much f off at the league meetings 4 days after the guy got married, and yeah, it's the league meetings are insane. So leading into the Commanders, there was uh, a lot going on with the Dan Snyder thing, and then Ursay comes out. It sounds like they're gonna vote him out, but then the league isn't gonna do anything, and they're not gonna take a vote until they're done with the investigation. If they don't find anything in the investigation, he can't be voted out. So sticky situation in the league meetings, and this team sucks.
Yeah, I mean this team's just a mess on the field and off the field. Nothing good really coming out there right now.
No.
I guess we can move on to the Vikings.
Jason Wright is the only bright spot, and he's just the vice president or president of football operations.
Yeah, yeah. Who knows what he even gets to do there?
Yeah. NFC North Vikings. I figured they'd be halfway decent. I didn't expect them to be 5-1 at this point. But they're looking pretty good. They just have to
Yeah,
maintain consistency. Their only loss is to the undefeated Eagles. We called it
right.
primetime Kirk, but maybe it wasn't primetime Kirk. Maybe it was more the Eagles are just that good.
Yeah, just how good the Eagles are playing. And now let me point out the one thing, the main key to this turnaround. Last 2 years, what sunk the Vikings was they were absolutely horrific in one-score games. They were pretty much anytime they were in a one-score game, they were losing that game. This year, they are winning those one-score games. They're coming back to win, pulling off late victories like they beating the Saints in London. Yeah, this team knows how to win down the stretch, and that's really been the main thing. Their offense still needs work on consistency a little bit. They really want to keep this lead in the North. It definitely helps that they have a lead at the moment, but
A 2-game lead at that. So that's a pretty good lead, especially with the momentum that they have. Um,
yeah,
and
and
then
technically
leads,
3 if you consider the fact that they beat the Packers head to head so far.
yeah. So Packers need 3 wins to get ahead of, and the Vikings to have 3 losses for them to pass them. But Packers, um, keys to win, run the football. As good as Aaron Rodgers is, you don't have the receivers. Throw to your running backs. Run the football. That's what's going to
Yeah.
get you wins. Take the pressure off your defense. Start taking that time off the clock to get your defense rest.
Yeah, it just I don't know, something just seems very wonky with the team right now. Like they just kind of they haven't found the rhythm offensively. Part of it is the young receivers and stuff. Um, yeah, they just haven't gotten to run the ball as much as they wanted to. And the defense just seems to have bust here and there. It's not playing at the same level it did last year or what we expected entering the season.
Yeah. I don't think at this point the way they've been playing that they're going to make the playoffs, but hey, Aaron Rodgers has turned around in the past, so we'll see.
Yeah. I trust Aaron Rodgers. This team could still make the playoffs, but I do wonder about winning the division if the Vikings keep it rolling here for the next few weeks. But I want to also point out a potential. I'm not giving up on the Lions yet. If they can get healthy, if they got healthy during this bye, if their defense can step it up a little bit, this team can still make its way back a little bit in this division.
Yeah. But did we completely skip the Bears?
Pretty much, yeah. There wasn't really anything to talk about with them. Their
They got
offense,
lucky in 2 games. They're terrible. Their mayor wants to just put a few extra rows of seats on the stadium and put a roof on it. And it doesn't sound like the people of Chicago really want to pay for a new stadium when their taxes are already so high. But they do have 2 wins. They're third in the division right now. So record speaks for itself. It may have been luck in those 2 wins, but they got them. But I agree with you. I think the Lions, if they can get healthy and then come out of their bye, I think they can turn it around. Even just grab 4 or 5 wins the rest of the season.
yeah.
I think they'll be okay.
But yeah, moving on to the South here. The Buccaneers not looking as good as we thought they would.
Yeah. I'm gonna say the same thing that I said about uh the Packers. Run the football. Right now, Tom Brady isn't getting it done. Um, Offensively, they are like the offensive line is not great right now. Um, I think they'll turn around throughout the season. But the fact that one, Tom Brady is warming up with a coach while his teammates getting stretchered off, not a great sign. And also not a great sign that he's cussing out his offensive line
Yeah.
halfway through a football game, and then they end up losing anyway. Um, Defensively, they haven't been consistent, so it's like, as I said in the preseason, this is going to be a very different team now that Bruce Arians is gone,
Yeah. And that
and
much
they
seems to
are.
be true so far.
I
Um,
figured Tom Brady was going to be good enough to get the ball moving, but he's got his own issues right now. He's away from the team a lot, um, and then playing in the game, and there's not really camaraderie there. It's like he doesn't care about this season, even though we all know deep down he does care.
yeah. I mean, he cares about the season more than most, I would say. Um, but yeah, I think the one problem, because this is a little bit different than the Packers situation with running the ball, they aren't good at it. They're trying at times, and then they eventually just abandon it because I think they're like pretty much like bottom 5 in the league right now rushing the ball. They just
Yeah,
can't do it.
they gotta
The
get
average is
going
pretty
because
bad.
yeah,
And yeah,
or
the offensive
they
line's
gotta
issue.
go get a veteran. Go get a veteran running back to put alongside Leonard Fournette.
Well, I mean, he's doing great in the passing game. I think it's just that the offensive line's the problem. They lost so many guys in the interior of the line in the preseason due to injury, and it has impacted this team. They
But at
just
this point,
don't
they're
have
just
anything
missing their
going up front.
center
Yeah, I
because
mean,
they got
still,
Shaq Mason. Shaq Mason's worked with Brady in New England, so it should be working better than what it is.
yeah,
We got 10 minutes to go through 7 more teams. So moving on to the Falcons, biggest surprise of the season for me.
yeah, they are playing pretty well.
Marcus Mariota is averaging 7.7 yards per pass, which is seventh in the NFL.
Yeah.
And offensively, they actually have not impressed me. But defensively, they're stopping people.
Well, I think actually I'm a little bit different than you. I'm actually impressed by their offense. You know
Well,
why?
I'm impressed, but
Because
they haven't been putting up big
this
numbers.
team, this team relentlessly is running the ball right now. They're not giving up on it. Everyone else wants to go pass happy. This team is just sticking to their guns, running the ball. Mariota only passes a few times out of play action, and that's what's working. It's keeping them in games, giving them a chance to win. I don't even think their defense is that great. I think they're them running the ball in offense is helping
I'm a
them hold time
possession, yeah.
possession and just keeping the defense in position to make stops.
Well,
All they have to do is get a few stops.
you and I said last season and again in preseason that Arthur Smith is a much better coach than what he's being like given credit for.
Yeah. And it's
Like
all about the run blocking. I mean, like the run blocking and the running scheme is just really, really good.
Mariota being pretty efficient helps, but
Yeah.
13 for
They still
14.
need to work on passing the ball a little bit. You got Drake London and Kyle Pitts that need to get a little bit more involved. And I mean that could get them to a new level if they could do that. But I mean, right now, they're doing a pretty solid job.
Yeah, and the Saints were like 4 minutes away from beating the Bengals. So they were 4 minutes away from being 3-3. Um I don't think they're a
Yeah.
bad football team. They have two major receivers out. Olave's in and out with the concussion. Um and then they're missing Lattimore on defense. And so they're just depleted. But
Yeah.
now they can't even figure out if they want Jameis Winston to be the starter because they got a good tandem with Andy Dalton and Taysom Hill. So it's like now they have not just two quarterbacks in a controversy. They have three quarterbacks in a controversy.
Well, you have three quarterbacks. You have no quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, we referenced the game they had against the Vikings earlier, and that's really been another issue for the Saints is that they're kind of the opposite. They have been struggling to win one score games. Each time they've been in a close one so far, they have managed to lose that game.
All right.
Turnovers
We
have been
gotta
an
pick
issue.
it up a little bit. We
Well,
got
let's
seven
skip the
minutes to go
Panthers
over.
because they are just a mess right now. Um,
Yeah.
this
Don't
NFC
trade your
West,
team away. You have a good team. Don't trade them away. Just get a different quarterback next season. You'll be okay. NFC West. Um,
not
three
as good as we
teams
thought.
tied for first. Yeah. I figured
Um,
there'd be a lot more space between some of these teams.
yeah,
Um, Niners, Kyle Shanahan is keeping them in it. Um, I mean, losing Trey Lance at your dedicated number one going into the season goes down in like what the first play of the second game.
pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, and then luckily they didn't trade away Garoppolo. Otherwise, they'd be searching for a veteran right now and calling Ryan Fitzpatrick to come out of Amazon and go help them. But I
But
mean,
like, what happens to this team? How I feel like I was about to mention just like the injuries they're dealing with, but that's a conversation every single year. Why does that keep happening?
I don't know.
Yeah, and that's been a big issue for them. They've lost a lot of star people here the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna be up and down, but if they're healthy at the end of the season, it's literally gonna come down to that. If they're
Yeah,
healthy at the end of the season, um, the Rams, the Rams and the Bengals are in Super Bowl hangover mode. Uh, both of them have looked terrible. They're both 3-3 somehow, but Akers being on the outs, and then I just read a report today that when Kyron Williams comes back, they're gonna start giving him the ball a lot.
yeah,
So interested to see how the offense works with that. But I mean, I don't think that they should split from Akers. There could be a lot going on behind the scenes. I don't know. Um, but it's just weird how you go into the season, that guy's your dedicated number one, and then 6 weeks in, you're talking about trading him and he's not even active, even though he's not hurt. Like
right.
that thing's weird. They're gonna need Odell down the stretch, so hopefully they can get that part worked out. And then defensively, they're missing that other edge. Um, they're missing Von Miller a lot. Like he didn't put up a whole lot of stats last year, but that defensive line is not great.
Yeah, they just don't have the impactful pass rush. I mean, again, offensively, they're forcing the ball to Cooper Cup. The offensive line's a bit of a mess right now. That part has definitely gotten worse since last year. I really don't
And I
know how
think
they're going to find a way to
their
solve
left
that,
tackle's
but
out for the season with an Achilles tear too, so that
yeah,
that gets
which
even
just makes
worse.
it worse.
But Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks ended up being better than Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah,
Um,
it's surprising.
Geno Smith, I have it here if my phone will unlock, um, is top 5 in the NFL in completion percentage, yards per attempt, and passer rating.
That's impressive.
That might be able to buy them a couple of years until like a big name quarterback who's younger who doesn't want to sign that second contract or a third contract with a team. Maybe that's the route they go. Because if Geno Smith can keep this up, you can get a couple more years out of him. And then you have Drew Lock just in case something happens. But I mean, I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket. But Kenny Walker looking like a beast, and then you got your two stud receivers. The offensive line's not bad, and then
Yeah,
was it Tyrone Woolen? That's his name?
Tariq Wooden.
Tariq Wooden. That was terrible. That was a terrible attempt. But he might be
Come on.
defensive rookie of the year. He's playing lights out football right now.
Yeah, he's
Um,
playing really good. Rest of the defense is still a little bit of a work in progress, but
yeah,
yeah, I mean, this team's been a surprise. Cardinals, we called it here that they were going to be bad. To some people, surprising how bad they are. Maybe they can rebound with D Hop coming back this week, but otherwise, not looking great.
yeah. I mean, they trade for Robbie Anderson after Hollywood Brown went down for the season, but uh, I mean, what has he done? Like,
Yeah,
he had
I
like
feel like he's
half of a
popped
good
off.
season
I
in New
feel like he's
York.
popped off like a few sporadic games here and there, and has gotten more hype than he really deserves.
Yeah, and that defensive line, they're missing Chandler Jones.
Yeah, big time. They don't
They're
have the same pass rush without him.
we'll see how D Hop affects the offense, but um, yeah, they're not that great. So that is our roundup of the league. Justin, any final thoughts?
I'm just excited to see how the rest of the season pans out. Obviously, this is kind of like our thoughts of how things look, but yeah, they're excited for the rest of the season. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
so my thoughts are terrible football so far, but also entertaining. It's like weird. It's
Defenses
like
have been tougher.
that or offenses have been worse. But we're running out of time. Follow us on every social media site at Updog Sports Talk, at Updog Sports Talk. Um, and then give us a like, give us a subscribe, tell your friends about us. We want to get out there, voice our unbiased opinions on things, and if any of you have any suggestions, we'd love to hear them. Feel free to write out to us, and then have a good one. Enjoy the NFL season.
Yeah, have a good one.
See ya.